Welcome back to Blue City Pickin' and Selling. I'm Carrie, and if you're new here, I am a part-time reseller that goes around to local thrift stores, estate sales, yard sales, and looks for things to buy on the cheap and flip for a profit on eBay. I have Cha Ching number 5 for you today, where we are going to go over my sales for the week of September 29th. All in all, an okay week. Nothing wonderful and nothing bad. Just a lot of bread and butter type sales. Nothing crazy. Has sold $726.53 in gross sales. 26 items. My profit was $343.28. So that's a 66% profit margin. My average sales price was up at $28. Sell-through rate was down at 67%. And then my average days to sell was at about 73. But that ranged anywhere from, on the low end, 0 days to sell all the way up to 220 days to sell. So it had been in my inventory for quite some time. Back in February, I believe, was when I had purchased that item. So without further ado, we will get into it. First thing that sold was this skirt from Ann Taylor Loft. It was brown, A-line, women's, had like a little flouncy at the end. The bottom, it was a size 16. This came from my personal stash of things that I was getting rid of. I sold it for $20.44. And the gross profit on that was $11.43, and it took 21 days to sell. Next up was a Fisher-Price GeoTrax replacement remote. I picked this up at a kids consignment sale back in August, along with a lot of other GeoTrax items. I sold that for, $9.56. This is, when I say sold for, that's what it sold for, excluding taxes, excluding shipping. So that was the kind of price that I do my profit off of. I sold it for $9.56, paid $2 for that, and I had a gross profit of $8.50, and it took about 35 days to sell. I sold another lot of Justin Bieber folders. These were unpunched. It was 4 of them. I sold those for $7.12, paid $1 for them once I did cost of goods across all of them. I purchased a big bundle of them at Goodwill back in May. So my gross profit on that was $4.45, and those were on the platform for 133 days before they sold. Next up was this lot of 4 vintage, like gold tone clip-on earrings. I think most of them were Premier Designs, but all of them were signed. Sold those for $12. I paid $4 for the bundle and had a gross profit of $8.88 there. And picked those up at an auction, and those took 28 days to sell. Next up is this fossil black leather belt that had these kind of silver tone heart accents in it. Was a size medium. I sold that for $25. I picked it up for $1 at a yard sale back at the end of May. My gross profit was $21, and it took 125 days to sell. This next item was a new with tag Betsy Johnson handbag. Not exactly sure what animal print this is. I think I put cheetah, leopard, something or another. Sold this for $23.20. Profited $19.48, and this is one of those items that I had on consignment from a local charity that I'll be giving the profits back to, and it was 8 days on platform. Next up is a pair of vintage, I think the brand was King's Head, made in Italy scissors. They were 8 inches long. Sold those for $10, gross profit of $8.77. These came from an auction where I bought a big desk that I think I paid $2 for the desk, and have sold a lot of different items from there. Purchased those back in June, and those were on the platform for 99 days before they sold. Next up is this vintage hand-carved letter slash desk organizer. It had plants on it and it had like a inlay. I don't know what the inlay was, but it was really pretty. I picked this up at Goodwill for $4.22. I sold it for $19, made $10.90 in profit, and that took 13 days to sell. Next was my one thing that sold within a day of listing. It was a vintage Aladdin Pyrex made in the USA, like replacement glass. I think it's called like a bulge chimney. Pulled these out of a box that my parents were gonna sell at a garage sale for really cheap, and listed it for $29, took an offer of $24, had a gross profit of $20.12, and it took no time at all to sell that. And I have one more on the platform. Next up is a Loungefly Disney tangled crossbody, and it was in the shape of a piece of cake. Sold that for $29, gross profit of $24.47. This came out of one of my daughter's closet cleanouts, and it took 68 days to sell. Up next is this Little Tykes. It was a step 2, like Lego Duplo style storage bench. Picked this up at an estate sale back in May, I believe, with a lot of other vintage Little Tykes items. I have since learned that I do not enjoy shipping large things as much as I enjoy purchasing them. So my kids played with this for a little while. I pulled some vintage Lego Duplos in with this lot, sold it for $50. I had paid $25 for the table plus a ton of Lego. Ultimately, I was able to profit $14.49, and it took 138 days to sell. Next up is this pair of Ugg boots, and this was the item that was in my shop the longest that sold this week. I am 100% sure that was because of seasonality. I picked these up in a ThredUp mystery box back in February. Listed them, they did not sell, but as soon as colder weather started coming around, they sold for $27.90. I had a cost of goods for about $6.50 a pair in that box, and so I made $17.14, and it took 220 days to sell. Next up is another consignment item from the local charity. This was a pair of Skechers Bobs Too Cozy shoes. They're very much like the Bobs, but these had like a fuzzy lining. They were brand new. Sold those for $27.20, profited $23.22, and they only took 4 days to sell. Next up is this lot of 10 vintage, I had never heard of this character, but Super Colonel comics. Picked these up at the same yard sale, actually, that I bought that fossil belt at back in May. Paid 90 cents for all 10 of them, sold them for $12, profited $8.75, and it took 122 days to sell. Next up is this Brighton crossbody purse. Not all Brighton is created equal. I picked this up at an estate sale for $5, thinking that it would be worth at least $20 to $25. It in fact was not. It was only worth about $12. I ended up profiting $5.71, and it only took 44 days to sell. So I was able to get my money back and then some, and go ahead and get that out of my inventory pretty quickly. Next up is the last lot of these Disney Pixar Cars 3 lithographs that I picked up at a Goodwill. Paid $1.99 for each set. Sold these for $10 and profited $7.88, and they took exactly 30 days to sell. I found this set of they were Pilgrim's Fall / Thanksgiving, like wooden cutouts at Goodwill for 99 cents each. Honestly, I don't even remember the last time before I picked these up that I found anything at our Goodwill for 99 cents each. So I went ahead and snagged them because I thought they were cute and they could be picked up and make some money on them. They sold for $21.75, and I had a gross profit of $16.35, and they took 33 days to sell. Next up was this set of 4 miraculous ladybug figures. I listed these 3 or 4 months ago. They were out of my kids' toys. I sold them for $7, made $5.63, and like I said, they took about 121 days to sell. Next up is this vintage kind of multicolored, I have no clue what all the stones were. It was really pretty though. It was a bib necklace with a lot of different layers and had like the little dangles like a belly dancer bead would have. Sold that for $13. I picked that up for $1 at an estate sale, made $9.20 on it, and it sold in 136 days. Next up, another sale for the charity on consignment. It was this set of 8 cute little dessert plates. They had each of the reindeer on them. It was from the brand LTD. And I sold those for $29. Was able to profit $20.70, and those sold within 9 days of listing. Another item out of my massive closet clean out of Ann Taylor and Ann Taylor Loft items. This was a floral teal blue and lime A-line skirt. It was a size 16. Sold it for $14, profited $12.62, and it took 17 days to sell. I find it interesting because out of all the reseller videos that I've watched, what I've read about is that Ann Taylor is so oversaturated, it doesn't sell. I mean, if you pick it up for 50 cents for $1, I mean, it seems like based on my experience from this closet clean out over the last month or so that you can get bread and butter out of Ann Taylor, and if it's in good condition and it's good quality, it will sell. So, and I don't know if it's because of the plus size too. So size 16, 18, that's what I've been selling off, and they've been selling really well and quickly. I don't have that much of it left that I had listed. So I've been pretty pleased with the performance of those items that I've got out of that closet clean out. Next up was this adorable little vintage kind of beaded clamshell purse. I picked this up at an estate sale back in April for $6. It sold for $19.04, and I profited $9.59. 131 days to sell. Next up is this set of 3 vintage, I think it's Goble birds. This was a set of brown birds. I've also sold some blue ones and some red ones, and the buyer paid $22.46. I had about $10 into them, and so my gross profit was right about $10, and they were listed for 92 days. Next up is this pair of Fit Flop boots. I had never seen Fit Flop boots, but I know the brand and I know it sells well in Fit Flops, like the actual flip flops. So I took a risk on these. It was like a slouchy knee boot. I think they were in size 9. The buyer paid $49 for these. I paid $12 for them, so I did pay up, but it worked out, and I was able to profit $27.19, and they only took 50 days to sell. Next up is this Walt Disney little piglet plush, very small, like 9 inches tall. Picked this up in a lot of plush from an estate sale back in April. I think the same estate sale where I picked up that bib necklace that I sold today as well. Sold that for $7.90. It was basically no cost to me by the time I had allocated all the expenses for that particular purchase. And so I profited $6.12, and it did take a while to sell though. So it was listed for 169 days. Next up is this adorable little Pigeon River pottery. I think it was called the Stargazer Bear from 2009. It was a signed figurine. I paid $9 for this at an estate sale. It sold for $23.99, and I profited $10.77, and that took 46 days to sell. So all in all, a pretty decent week. I definitely am seeing consistent sales anywhere from 25 to 35 a week. I am getting all of the things that I don't have listed. I keep hearing people talk about Q4 and that sales are starting to pick up. I don't know that I've seen necessarily a pickup, but I haven't seen a slump lately, which is great. And I've been able to keep things coming in and out of the house at a pretty consistent rate so that I haven't over prescribed to space and inventory. Let's see. Oh, so if you're not aware, I currently have a coupon code that is down in the description below, along with the link to my eBay store, that I am doing a sale in October to clean out some items, and it's Spooky Month 2024 is the coupon code. So feel free, go ahead, head over to the store, look around. If you find something, just use the coupon code Spooky Month. Leave me a message, let me know that you found me over on YouTube, and I would appreciate that. Until next time, if you can give me a like, a comment, and a subscribe if you like this kind of video, then I would very much appreciate it. And until the next Cha Ching, have a great week. Good luck with your sales. Bye.